I was impressed with both your paintings last night. I opened it up and I was like, oh my God, did they start off like a picture already?
Oh, that looks nice too.
Get too close to it, because then you start to see all the secrets.
I think that's what it's supposed to be. It's kind of like an optical illusion. Like everyone looks like an artist from afar, but up close, it's hard. It's really like you have to be very particular. But it was really cool.
Paul, I think you'd be like Picasso. I hope I'm not underselling it.
I get that a lot. Thanks.
You're welcome.
We'll just give it one more minute. Nazir, you want to walk?
A little bit. How you doing? How's it going?
Gotta get those steps in.
A little bit.
Just getting home.
I'm just getting home. It's morning.
Yeah. Errands.
Good for you. I had a hard time ever waking up before around 11 if I didn't have anything to do.
Yeah. It's hard at first for sure.
Sydney, it looks like you're in like a storybook castle. I don't know where you are, but it's
I'm in my attic and it's just unfinished, so it's all the insulation. That's the first time. It's the first time I've heard anybody compare it to a fairy tale castle.
Okay, so I want to get started just so we all have enough time to talk. So like Janice said, I don't know why for some reason it's not recording. So we'll probably do one of these for other folks at another time that weren't able to attend. But thank you for all of you that are coming. I know that, as we were communicating in GroupMe, I think that was Friday, we decided it'd be better to just talk over Zoom. So that way we can all touch base about what you're all feeling, your perspectives, your opinions on some things, and then move forward in making an action plan, kind of, moving past this. So obviously with a bunch of us here, I know you've all been on Zoom meetings with a ton of people. So I figured the best way to do this is if you would like to say something, we'll just use the raise your hand feature. We'll kind of open it up to the crowd, and just be mindful, we have about an hour. So I just want to make sure that we can all, anybody who wants to share anything has time to do that. And also, side note, I don't have a Zoom Pro account yet. So at 40 minutes, it's going to turn off so that you can just go and rejoin using the same link if it kicks us all out. So Kiki, I don't know if you kind of want to start off, talking more about, what you were talking about in the group meets. I know some people look at it all the time, some people don't. So I don't know if you want to kick off our conversation, we can kind of go from there.
Yeah, definitely. So I have worked with some other people, and we've created an agenda. So kind of the whole purpose of this meeting, what I mentioned in the group meeting, if people didn't see the group meeting message, is basically kind of I feel like there is kind of there's no transparency between upper administration and the RAs and RDs, or TDs, excuse me. But it's interesting because it's not there, and every time we try to come forward with something, we don't really have the support that we need. So kind of the purpose that we wanted to discuss during this was to discuss the inequalities, like I mentioned, that are visible amongst the RAs and the CDs. Again, I'm not really sure on the CD side. I just know about previous employees that have worked there and their experiences. But also kind of how can we better improve the current system that we have in place for the future? Like, I think nothing is ever perfect. That's the way I look at things. I think there's so much more that you can do, and we have to start somewhere. And I think this conversation is a good start. So by starting here and having this conversation is how we can get better. And then I know RA compensation has been a huge topic within the group, but I think the biggest issue with that is that like we keep getting the same response. And I know it's not easy. Like I know it's a very different system. Like I've been a leader on campus for 3 years now, and I know what it's like. I know what upper politics is like, so I understand that. But my issue is that we just keep getting the same answer and no one's telling us or updating us on the process. So we're all stuck just sitting here trying to figure out what's happening, but we really don't know what's happening. So again, the final point is like, how do we move forward and how are you guys going to make it better? And to kind of begin that conversation, I had created a Google Forms asking people questions that they weren't comfortable asking within the Zoom meeting. So obviously if we have open-ended questions at the end to follow up other questions, I'll have other people ask. But I do want to start off with some comments that were made. I don't know if Angie wanted to start or if Angie just wanted me to go. I don't know where Angie is. Oh, I see Angie.
I'm here. Where is the raising the hand? Now
I don't know.
It's okay, I called on you. That's like virtual raising your hand.
Hi. One thing that I think for the last 2 years, just being in a hetero role, that has really bothered me, and I think it's happened like twice now, which I feel like the first time I was like, okay, but the second time I was like, something needs to change, is I'd love to see this improve for next year is, so like obviously Megan was my supervisor for 2 years and she like did a great job and she set me up for success. But when she got married, which was 2 years ago, and then when she went on vacation, she was gone for about 2 weeks, both times. And both times, no one from Reslife like contacted me. No one from like HQ said like, hey Angie, like how are you doing? Is your staff okay? And like I would still be communicating with Megan, which is great. But that's like not her job because she was still on vacation. And I just felt like that needed, like I felt like if that was a different hetero, like I would want someone to reach out to them. And then the last thing that happened like this year was when Megan eventually left. I know we were in the middle of the pandemic and things were very busy for the central office staff, which again, like I completely respect, like Kiki was saying, we know like this time was not easy, but I'm not sure exactly like, when Megan left, but no one had contacted me and said, hey Angie, this is who you're going to be reporting to. If your staff has any concerns, here is who you can contact, whether it was another CD, whether it was someone from central office. There was no communication. So I felt like I was just kind of left floundering, wondering like, oh, I have a problem. What do I do now? And then I was trying to rely on the other heteros. And I know that only didn't happen to me. So that's just something that I felt like easily could be improved for next year and definitely would have a really big impact because I kind of felt like I was almost abandoned in the time where like I, as a student, had no idea what was going on, but then also I was leading a staff of 9. And I felt like I was doing my best to answer their questions, but sometimes I just didn't know. So that was just one experience that I had that I wanted to share.
Angie, thank you for sharing that. That's really important feedback for us in the central office to hear. And I'm sorry that you felt abandoned. And I can, as you explained how everything transpired on both, extended vacation time and then also when Megan left the CD role, I apologize. I'm sorry that you felt that way, and that is something that we did drop the ball on. One of the things that we've been working on is creating and updating staff manuals for both the community directors and the RAs. And in the community director manual, we've been flushing out how we're going to designate another community director or central staff person in the cases where someone is on vacation time, for more than like a couple of days here or there for those extended times. And then also, if someone were to leave, to have a better transition for that staff there as well. So that's something that we're working on. But I think even beyond that, and what I was really excited about having this time today is that we want to have more communication with all of you, so it's more natural to reach out to us whenever you're feeling disconnected or need more information. And so we have a lot of work to do on creating that relationship with our whole staff, both the CD staff, within our central staff, and within the RAs, because we're basically a whole new group coming together. And, we were thrown into this COVID-19 situation, which, it didn't help things. But we have work to do to build relationships and to build trust so we can have that open communication. And that's something that I'm hoping as an entire department we can do and come together for.
Yeah, thank you so much for that answer, Jana. I think, again, it's just there's a lot of miscommunication between the RAs and RDs, and we haven't, I think sometimes, at least I know this is for me, and this is definitely a bunch of other RAs probably will agree with this, but I feel like we have been treated just as RAs, and in our handbook, it says that RAs are students first, and I've never been treated as a student. My needs have never been put first, and we're just expected to know what to do, which I don't think it's fair because this is still a growing process. I'm 21 years old. You don't really know a lot at 21 years old. So I think it's nice to see that you have something in place, but I just want to still keep reading through the other comments that we have gotten from other RAs. Yeah.
Kiki, can I add something while you're
Go for it.
Well, it's kind of relevant. Jana, to your point, I think that was a great update that you just provided us for the staff manuals, but I think it's very hard from the perspective of having that honest and open communication between the ranks, because quite frankly, there's a fear factor of losing a sizable part of our compensation. So for me personally, if I were to no longer have this position, it would be a very big financial burden on myself. And I know a lot of us don't do it for the money, but the fact of the matter is, I think almost every single person here benefits in some way from having that financial contribution. So being quite honest, I don't know if I personally would feel comfortable coming to the office staff with all of my concerns, complaints, or even comments, or just everything, because there's that fear factor of being treated differently. And I think that that's been highlighted this year in the sense that graduates have had to come forward and really be the ones to speak up about this, because quite honestly, you can't fire Kiki, you can't fire Angie. And I think
I'm just gonna, so the elephant in the room right now is compensation. So let me just say, with compensation, I apologize that it has been taking so long to get you a decision. Inga has been meeting with the other administrators at her level at the institution, and she has been lobbying for all of you to receive the compensation for the rest of the spring semester. She has continued to lobby because, to be very honest, this isn't an easy decision. It's a financial decision. Does everyone in central office, does Inga, does Bob, does John Denio, are we on board with all of you getting the compensation for the spring semester? We absolutely 110%, 200% are on board with you all getting that compensation. We know that when we shut down, that you just didn't go home and focus on your schoolwork. We know you were connecting with your residents. We know that you were providing support and still in the role of the RA. Unfortunately, we are not the final decision makers on this topic. And so that's why it has been taking so long. But please, let me just say to everyone in person, and John, I'm sorry, I did not mean to interrupt you. It's very important for me to communicate that we are behind you getting your compensation. We are pushing for that. Inga is pushing for that, and and we're hoping, and I know that she's been keeping everyone updated as you reached out. And Ryan, thank you for your last email last week, but please know that this is not something that we've forgotten about. This is something that Inga is bringing up in her meetings daily, and we wish we could have an answer for you. At this point, I want the answer to be that you all get compensation, but at this point, I want to be able to tell you more than we're still talking about it. But unfortunately, that's the situation that we're in. But I want you all to know and to hear from me directly that we all believe that you should be compensated, and we want you to get that compensation. If it was my decision, if it was our department's decision, if it was Inga's decision, you would have your compensation.
No, and we completely appreciate that. And I definitely, again, just like Angie said, just like I said, we know this isn't an easy fight, but I don't, not to completely just write off what you were saying, but I think that the elephant in the room is not having communication about the compensation.
Absolutely.
I know it's a fight, but it's not even just about the compensation, it's about everything else. When we lost 3 of our community directors, we didn't know what was happening. I was supposed to have 2 different CDs, but no one from Reslife checked in on us. So it's things like that. And again, with this compensation, we know it's not an easy fight. I've been at this school for 4 years. I've been fighting for a lot of other things. So I know how politics works at Bryant. I'm very, very aware. But again, I would expect there to be a level of honesty between my supervisors and my bosses. However, there's nothing there. And I haven't been treated with that same respect, and no one else has either. And I think that's what the frustrating part is. We're not saying that you're not doing your job and you're not trying to go and fight for us on compensation. We very much see that. It's just
but we've dropped the ball on communication. And I will be the first one to say that, and I deeply apologize to all of you for that. So what I'm hearing is that there's no trust and that communication is lacking. So those are 2 crucial things within an organization that lead to failure.
Yeah.
And we all agree with that.
Yes. Is it okay if I continue the comments that were made? Because I do want to get them all out. Just because I know
we can. I just want to say one more thing as well. Mm-hmm. So from now on, for our staff for 2020, 2021, we're going to send out a weekly email update. That's how we're going to start to build communication, okay, with everything that's happening. And then we'll look at what that format looks like once we're back in person, once training begins, and all of that stuff. But I want you all to know, and I want to hear all of your comments, but I want to also have the opportunity to address things as we go as well. And I want to let you know that we're going to fix the communication issue, and we're going to build trust as a department. And please continue, because I want to hear, the rest of the things that we're going to need to work on.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. So also, I think Kevin is trying to join this group me. He just texted me, and he's under the name Josh Hollis because he's borrowing.
I just let him in because I didn't know who that was, and Angie just let me know. So he should be good.
Perfect. All right, cool. So the next comment was also from another head RA. I've asked to keep anonymous, but lack of communication between Reslife and RAs was non-existent. My RD left Bryant, and I was never contacted once by the main office about what to do as a head RA, and it left me feeling abandoned. And it's just that question of how will you make sure your RAs never feel abandoned again? And then the last comment, and after these comments, we do have questions to kind of go forward with, but the last comment that was made was kind of in this issue of the lack of transparency. A lot of RAs found it really frustrating that you didn't, when you created the Zoom meeting, I understand that this was the time that worked for your office. However, there were a majority of RAs that wanted to show up to this meeting, but they have work or they have internships, and we didn't even get asked if this time was okay for everyone. So that's another part. Like, when are we gonna? It's not even all about communication. It's about when are we gonna meet in the middle. Like, we want to also be treated like adults. We also want to be treated with respect. So when there's a professional meeting like this, how are you gonna come and just tell us, hey, make it or don't make it? Like, this is the meeting time. I know with Inga, when we had our meeting with her, she asked us our availabilities. And the fact that we didn't even get a choice for our availabilities, and then we were asked to just come from 9:30 to 10:30, like, it's just not fair. I know some of the RAs in here, they've I know Sky just said that she asked her manager to put some time off, and like I know some other people like block time from their schedules so they can be here at this meeting. And if you truly care about us, and I know that you guys are working and this is a new staff, I'm not really just here to call you out. I don't think that's fair. But if you truly care about the RAs and what we stand for, I feel like we should be able to have a voice in when we should meet and when you want to hear from us. But we didn't even get that choice either. So it's like, you say that you care about us, you say you want to protect us, you say that you want to work for us. However, with a simple act, like, actions mean so much. And this one action of you not giving us, you guys not saying what times work for you guys, it's almost like you really didn't think about us. You were just trying to, this Zoom meeting almost felt like a reactionary thing rather than a proactive thing. Like, how should we actually do this? You felt as though it was, we need to respond to this, so let's have a Zoom meeting. So I that's how I feel. And it's not just me spitting these words out. So I know you're probably like, oh, Kiki's just going off right now, but this is stuff that I've heard from other RAs too, and this is what RAs have come to and talked to me about. So
I'm sorry, can I address this one real quick?
Yes.
Just real quick. I just want to say that, well, hello everyone. I didn't get a chance to say hi at the beginning. I had a little trouble with getting into the Zoom meeting, but I do want to say, just because I myself just found out about the meeting at the last minute, and I had to move another meeting. But I feel like the reason why the meeting was scheduled so soon is because we heard your concerns and we wanted to get everyone together as soon as possible. And I feel like, they didn't check with the rest of us if we were available. This was a priority, and we wanted to get everyone together so that we could talk about your concerns as soon as possible. Even if it was inconvenient for the rest of us today, we had to make this time available. So again, like Jana said at the beginning of the meeting, anyone that could not attend, we will be happy to try to reschedule another time for those people that didn't have the opportunity. But when you're trying to gather so many people together, it is time consuming to try to send out like a poll to find out what's going to work for everyone. And that would have taken days. And right now is a crucial time for all of us with planning for the fall semester. And we just didn't want you guys to continue thinking that this was not a priority for us. And we wanted to hear your concerns. We wanted to have the opportunity to meet face to face and listen to you and have the opportunity to respond as soon as possible. So we didn't want to put it off for, this person is out and that person was out. And so, like I said, anybody who feels as though they were unable to attend, we would be happy to try to reschedule another time to have a face-to-face with them as well. But this was not just reactionary, this was a priority. And we wanted to have the opportunity to address you as soon as possible.
I completely understand what you're saying and where you're coming from. However, I will say, I thought this meeting was for the RAs. At the end of the day, you guys are trying to find a meeting to just get it out of the way. And the reason I'm saying that is because even with someone like Inga, who's very, very busy, made sure she found time for us. And she didn't even tell us when she was available. She made it work for us. So it also goes to show, like, we do so much for you guys, but where's the return? That's what I'm not seeing. And I understand, I'm not saying that you guys are not busy. However, like, the rest of us are also busy too. I've graduated, like, I'm starting a full-time job. I don't need to be here right now. I really don't, but I am, because I know that there's a lot of people that are struggling. And I also think, like, two parties need to make it work. This is not just a one-sided thing. And I know with previous RDs that worked at Bryant, with like Rob and Megan, who were previous CDs, like they had to run large staffs. And even like, let's say when Rob left, Megan had to try to figure out how to run her townhouse staff and the Upper Village staff. So I think it's possible to make it work, but no one took the time to do that. And that's what I'm frustrated with. Because I'm not sitting here telling you guys that you guys are doing nothing, that you guys are sitting around. I'm saying that we have not been treated with respect. And that's all we're asking for. We're asking for open communication, but we're not even getting that. So how am I supposed to sit back and say, like, again, even with your response, Katrina, like I totally, again, understand where you're coming from, but you saying and trying to, your whole point of you saying that this wasn't reactionary, every word of your answer just made me feel that it was a reactionary meeting, that there was nothing to do with this. So I honestly, I'm just a little frustrated. I think other RAs are too. I don't think it's just me, because you say that you hear us, but then you come back with an answer saying that, actually, just kidding, we're gonna do it our way. See, it's the simple things. You're not hearing us, and we want to be heard. And that's all we're asking for. And I think that's one of the hardest things. We're not, and like Katrina, I honestly, like, I know we've never met before, but like Zach told me that he checked with the way he said it is that he checked with the entire staff to make sure like when people could meet. And he cared more about the majority of the Reslife staff to ask when they were available. But why don't the RAs matter within that question? So why does it matter more that the CDs and upper administration have to be available, but when the meeting is directed towards the RAs, you don't even ask if the RAs are available? That doesn't make sense.
And I'll talk a little bit about that, Kiki. And I think, you know, what Katrina said is true, but I think what you said is also true. And I apologize. And I think that I was trying to balance, you know, sending out a poll. And as you know, sometimes doodle polls take days to get answers, but also, you know, if this time didn't work, you know, I wish that somebody would have said, you know, a lot of people have jobs, can we do another time? And I absolutely would have done that. So, you know, I think that, like you said, communication's important. I'm glad we're able to talk now, but I take full responsibility for that. I did set up the meeting. I looked at all the pro staff calendars and everyone was free at this time. But obviously, you know, I was just trying to schedule it as soon as possible, like Katrina said, but obviously, like you said, you graduated, people have jobs, like people aren't just sitting at home waiting to have Zoom. So I apologize, you know, that it wasn't, you know, a poll or any of that, but, you know, and I wish that, you know, we could have talked through of, you know, maybe this time doesn't work. Can you send something out? So I just want you to know, and I know that you say actions speak louder than words, and I totally get that. But it wasn't my intention to just, you know, let's do this when it's convenient for us. For me, it was, let's do this quick. Because as you know, when, you know, thoughts fester and people are upset, like it's not good. And we wanted to do this as soon as possible. So I'm sorry that we didn't get, you know, everyone's availability. And obviously, you know, if that was communicated, I definitely would have, you know, looked at that and tried to schedule another time. But I do apologize for that.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that apology. And I think to kind of go off of what you were just saying, I think the reason why I did take a poll with people in, RAs do have a separate group chat, and just to be clear with you guys, but I did take a poll within that group chat asking if we could move the meeting or if people wanted to move the meeting, and asked Zach about it. But everyone said no, because this was the first time we had even gotten an opportunity to get a meeting with you guys. Like, or this was even a possibility, because we've been trying to get answers for so long and that just hadn't happened. So we didn't want to miss our opportunity. So, if that makes sense. But again, like, that's why I think what Mike Bacchiatti just said in the group chat about how there were multiple people in the group meeting who stated that they would not be able to make it to the meeting because of work. So I feel like we did voice our concerns, you know. And again, like, I hate to be a broken record right now, but like, we just weren't being heard. And I think that's kind of the main issue. Yeah, I think that's the right word.
Hey, Kiki, so
yeah.
Hi, sorry, I'm calling in, so I don't have the hand raised, but I just wanted to mention kind of two things. So I hear all your concerns, and I kind of agree with a lot of the issues of communication and kind of lack of that. But also I kind of just want to bring up that I know that there's a whole group of RAs that are not in that other group message. And that's kind of, if you're talking about open communication, kind of keeping it within that group as well. So if you could please add me and anyone else that's not in that, I'd really appreciate that. But then also along with that, about half of the staff, either 3 people coming in next week and half the staff, we haven't even met or have only been here for less than 6 months. So it seems like a lot of the issues are old ones. So I think it's very important that we as a group come together and present these to Jana and Zach, but like, let's also give them time to resolve them, because Jana's only been here for 6 months. And the beginning of the semester is going to be very challenging for everyone with COVID. So kind of, if we all come in with a positive step forward rather than kind of just all this negativity, it might be helpful to move forward in that direction, because things are going to be different when we get back. And having this open communication is really important.
Oh, I completely agree.
Wait, let me jump in and touch upon that. Like, Paul, that's a great statement, and like, I really respect your statement there, and I agree. And as some of the office staff knows, I have emailed them and told them that I'm hoping for the same thing. But on Paul, on your point, I think the point is that there is some outstanding items that need to be dealt with to kind of like start fresh and, you know, create this new blank slate with 3 new people coming in, more positive and open communication. And Paul, I agree with you, and I'm not discrediting you at all. Like, I actually do agree with you. But the point is that there is multiple elephants in the room, and I get it. Like, it's not just supposed to, like, let's not just chip at each other and like you know, let's be productive and like progress forward. But to do that, I think you're right. We have new people joining us. It's going to be a tough semester coming, but we have to deal with issues from last semester or old stuff to, you know, kind of keep it going. So maybe presenting them to them would be a good thing, but like, how do we do that also? Like, you know, we kind of have to come together. And then also on your point of like being excluded from a group meet, like, apologize for that. It was just like kind of on the basis of compensation. I honestly don't even know how that group meet got formed or whatever, not, but I do apologize for that. And like, if you feel excluded, I'd be happy to talk to you about that, or just like clear up some air there too. So
Ryan, to go to that point about the group me,
Sorry, I'm just admitting everyone. So we should.
Oh my God, you're totally okay. Is Paul in here? I just wanted to address one thing if he's in here.
Real quick, Zach, do you know if there's a password for the meeting room? There's a few RAs, post-graduate RAs that are looking to join and are having trouble saying that there's a password for the meeting room.
I didn't set up a password.
There is a password.
I think it's a password. You're joining from the code.
793582. Perfect. Thank you.
Also to Paul, with your point about the group me, I do want to say that when creating that group me, we reached out to every single head RA, and the head RA was supposed to reach out to you. And that was the easiest way to go about it, and people in your staff. So honestly, like, if your head RA did reach out to you, like, I'm not sure what to do, because that's just how, that was our best way of communicating. So I'm very sorry that it didn't work out the way that you wanted to. Like, we'll definitely add you to that group me, but like, we had RAs reach out to their staffs. So again, like, the head RAs that, like, I know most of Upper Village is in that staff, townhouses are in that, like, Barrington House is in that group me. So like, again, it really just depended on what RAs were there and what weren't.
So with 20 minutes left in this, I know we have a lot of people here, and if anyone else has like something they want to say, like, raise your hand and say something, as we're all here. We have 20 minutes left, so I just want to give other people that opportunity too. And if not, then he can keep going with questions and whatnot, but I just want to give that opportunity to other people.
Brian, I just have. Go ahead, Sky.
Go ahead, Jack.
No, go ahead, Sky.
Sorry, I was using the raise hand feature, but I don't think you saw it, Zach. I think the hardest pill to swallow right now, at least for me, is like, I think main staff, central office staff, sorry, and RAs came into this meeting with very different expectations of how it would go. And I think the hardest part right now is that it doesn't feel like you guys are ready to receive all of the built up things that we've been carrying. So if this needs to be a continued conversation, which clearly it does, then we need to work on that piece as well. But I think in addition to communication, which we've heard over and over again, it doesn't feel like you guys are really ready to receive just like how deep some of these things are.
If I can just jump in, Sky, about that and some of the other concerns, I'd like to remind folks, if you're interested in continuing a conversation, especially thinking about how we can move forward, and I know before we can move forward, we have to have the opportunity to clear the air. But one of the goals that I have in helping more with planning RA training is to make sure that there's opportunity for really open, honest dialogue on an ongoing basis before training, during training, but then that when August training is done, that conversation doesn't stop. So folks that would like to help, whether it's this is a topic we need to talk about, or this is an activity, or I want to help with this, those of you that have graduated, if you want to put in your 2 cents, like, let me know. Just want to make sure that invitation is open, because that's something that's really on my mind as I move forward, and the CDs that are helping me plan. And as we plan a departmental curriculum to build an inclusive community, I know that has to start with us, right? Like, we can't have an inclusive residential community until we all are on the same page and listening and really respecting each other, right? So just a friendly reminder of that, because I really want to make sure you all have an opportunity to continue to share your ideas for moving forward. And Janet just reminded about the RA Council will be happening moving forward.
Kara has her hand raised.
And I can't see that.
Oh,
Kara.
Sorry. So I just wanted to say, like, the reason I think, I just want to make it clear, the reason I think we're having alum RA kind of speak for us right now is because there's still a feeling that there will be retaliation if we do speak up. So I think, one, I appreciate that being said, that you want this conversation to continue throughout the year, because I think that we all just want it to be the best. But in the past, I feel like a lot of feelings have festered because we haven't been able to get them out. And so I think having the alum right now speaking for us is kind of what makes the majority of the RAs feel safe and feel like our jobs are safe. And then I just want to share my own thoughts. Like, I ended spring break. I went on spring break, and my last interaction with Reslife was very negative and kind of left me questioning whether I even wanted to come back the following year, and to not have that ever addressed or resolved, I think kind of hurt me and hurt my feelings. And I am going to be a head RA, so I want to be very positive with my staff and very open and give a good view, but I do have to say it's kind of hard and difficult for me to do that right now.
I do want to add to what Kara said really quick. I think part of the importance of addressing what's happened in the past is that with so much turnover in Reslife, it's really hard to say that there's one clear oh, I can't find the word, whatever. There's just one clear, damn, I really can't think of the word. Anyways, just the environment has changed so much. When I first was hired, 2 years ago now? I'm going into my 3rd year. I really remember that the culture, that's what it is, that the culture was very much if you have a problem with the way we do things, if you have a problem with where you were placed, we have a long list of people who can replace you. And I remember there was someone specifically, a lot of you old heads know exactly who I'm talking about. If you don't want to be here, the door is right there, and we have 100 other people who want this position. So really what that created was a lot of RAs who just stayed quiet, didn't come to the central office with any of our issues, any concerns, really concerning things, not even just complaints. So when we talk about, moving forward, how are we going to do that? Oh yes, we want you to be a part of the RA Council. Well, we still have like that leftover feeling of, yeah, there's a long list of people who can replace us. So that, I think, is some scarring in the RA community.
Guy, and I know that what you're talking about, because I feel like I've talked to like probably half of the RA staff about that too. And I think that, like you said, it's hard because when you were hired, how many people are still in the office now when you were hired? Sarah? Yeah.
One.
Right? So it's hard because you come in and you have one connotation or like you said, it's you're hired, you're here. If you don't want to be, sayonara. And then there's 9 people that have changed, and it's like, well, we want you to speak up, and then people still don't feel comfortable because of, like you said, like when first impressions are huge. So you come in and somebody tells you that, and then somebody else can say the opposite, and you're still like, well, that one person did say this. So I think that transition, it's hard, it's huge, but I think it's real, and it's very real in our department. And I know, like, I just want to say, like, this is why we're doing this, and we want to do more of this. Like, believe me, like, if Jana, Sarah, and all the CDs, if all we could do is talk to you all day, I'd rather do that. Like, we love spending time with you. Like, we love getting to know you. We want to build those relationships, and we know it's been hard. Coming in, having different personalities, having 3 essentially directors from the September to now, having 3 CDs leave, having 3 CDs come. It's hard because you can't just build trust with people over 10 minutes or so, or 2 months. So I definitely understand that. And I just, really, genuinely hope that you're all hearing, all of us as a staff saying that we want to hear from you, and we want you to get to know us, and we want to hear your feedback. You're the backbone of our department. If you weren't with us, we couldn't exist. And I think that, we want to make sure that not only you're having a good experience, but it's meaningful and it's helping you get to the next step, right? So I think, maybe 2 or 3, 4 of you will go into student affairs, and that's completely fine. But for the rest of you that's not, what are we doing and how are we making your experience, whether it's, leadership training, or it's how to supervise people or how to mentor people. So we want to get your feedback. So this is, you're not only having a good experience working with us, but we want this to be meaningful too. So I know it's really hard with all this transition, but I just really want you all to know that at least that's where we all stand as an office, and we just want you to know that.
It is, and I just want to say, so I've heard this come up a couple of times. Your jobs are safe. So the only reason I don't terminate people, it's not something that I like to do. But if we ever get to that point with an RA, it's because we've had multiple conversations that are related to the tasks and the areas that you're responsible for, or a huge lapse in judgment. And so I just want to say, just very clearly, you will never be terminated for sharing your opinions with us. That has nothing to do with your job performance. That has to do with us building a better relationship and building trust. The only things that you will be terminated for is for if you, just say, the heck with duty, I'm never going to show up to duty, and we address it over and over again. And this is why we're trying to get you all some more clearly outlined expectations, because I don't want this feeling that you're going to lose your job because, you shared something with us that, that you think may upset us, or, you give us critical feedback. That's not the way this works. Like, we value you all, your jobs are safe, and we want to hear from you.
Billy has had his hand up for a while. If you want to speak, Billy.
Yeah, thank you for that. And to be very honest with you all, we don't have everything figured out about the hotel right now. That's been a last minute addition. Zach's going to be the point person for the hotel until Morgan gets here. And it's going to be an ongoing process figuring out questions. So I could have communicated that clearly, that he's going to be the point person and the collector of the questions as we're working through exactly what that's going to look like and the answer to all of your questions and others as well.
Hi again. I think that I am next in the queue of hands. So one thing that I remember hearing about maybe it was last semester or the beginning of the fall semester, is the office hours that the central office staff had talked about. And I don't remember ever hearing anything about that. And I'd love to know if you're going to be implementing that for next year and next semester, as I thought that was a great idea. And I'm a little bit disappointed that didn't end up happening. And I think that, to Sarah's point, like, you guys want us to be involved. Well, I'm gone now, but that you want the RAs to be involved. I think that's a great way just to start building that communication and trust within the RAs. So I'd love to hear your plan about that.
I can talk about that, Angie, because I think I know I'm the one who said it.
Okay.
And I'm going to be blunt and honest with you all, because you've all been honest with us. It was my intention to do that, but as you know, our leadership changed. And at that time, our leader, who wasn't Jana, did not want that. And so, as the person that I'm reporting to, I had to acknowledge, what she wanted. And so I will say we want to do something. We want to do something similar. Obviously, this year with COVID, I don't know what the heck we'll have to meet outside or something. But, I know that Jana's in the same boat as me, as we want that. We want those interactions with RAs. And it was, we don't want all of our interactions to be in meetings or stuff about work. And, those office hours were intended to have those, conversations. But unfortunately, there were just some folks that didn't want RAs coming to the office and looked at it more of a place of work. So I apologize that didn't happen. I really wanted it to happen, but like I said, that's why I'm excited for our new leadership, because I know that Jana really values, building those relationships with the RAs more so than some other folks that aren't here.
All right, I think my hand was next. I do want to say, I know I did get worked up during this, and I think I want to kind of point out, like, this has been something that has been stuck deep down for the past 3 years. It's just been building up. So it's just been a lot of tension, and I'm really glad that you guys are at this meeting willing to listen. I think that's a really great first step. And again, like, to kind of just echo what I've been saying, like, I think we just want a support system and a care system. Like, I think a really good example, when I know Megan Stone is not working with us, but my first year as my second year as an RA, my junior year, I had a very, 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 very bad panic attack to the point where I collapsed in the library. And during that time, the only person I knew to call was Megan, and I texted her, and she left work and came and sat with me and calmed me down. So, like, to see, like, that was a level of care that CDs were willing to do at that point. Like, and I know Rob has done the same thing for me when I've gone through other things, like, so, and even Melissa at times. So I think that's the kind of level that we expect as RAs. Like, I'm not saying that I need you to leave your office to come for me. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, we want to be cared for too. We want to be seen as students first too, not just your Reslife office workers. And don't get me wrong, I love being an RA. I love being able to help students through the different issues. Like, I know for a fact that I've been able to change some lives. So I'm very, very grateful for those experiences. But I don't want to be forgotten as a student, because there have been issues in my past career where, and obviously this is not you guys, but I think, like, again, it started somewhere, but my issues were put aside and other residents were more important than me, even though I had to be the first responder to my residents. So it's kind of, where do we stand? that's kind of the main point. But I again just wanted to say, like, I'm sorry if I came off as super strong, but personally, it's just a lot of like deep down, like just anger, upsetness, sadness, upsetness. That's not a word. But you know what I'm saying? There's just been a lot of feelings here and there. And I'm just grateful that you guys are taking that effort. Like, again, this is a really great first step. And I think that this conversation shouldn't end here. And I don't mind working with you guys. Like, yes, I graduated, but I really don't mind working with you guys to get to a point that RAs in the future will not be scared of being an RA anymore. And I think that's the ultimate goal. And that's where we want to get to. And I think we can get to that together. And that's the whole point of this meeting. And I know that this meeting is over in 4 minutes. So what I'm going to do, I do have 3 questions. But I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to email all of you guys and email all the RAs these questions. So or we can do this in another meeting. But I think that this was a good first meeting to kind of get our feelings and thoughts out of there. This is the first time I was able to be honest with Reslife. To be honest with you, I was going to write a very long letter to you guys. Just everything I've been through and struggles I've had, but like this platform has been a lot easier and a lot better to really get my words and thoughts out there. So again, I'm very thankful that we were able to have this.
Me too, Kiki, and thank you for taking the lead on this. And I would really love for you to continue working and sharing your feedback. I think that would be absolutely wonderful. When you came off as you cared and that you're passionate about Reslife, and that means so much to me and just makes me really happy to be here to work with all of you to fix this department and to establish better relationships and trust. So thank you, and thank all of you for taking your time to be here.
And like Kiki said, I know you still have some questions, that you want to talk about, and obviously what you said, I don't want this to be an hour Zoom and it's okay, see you in August. Like, no, like we want this conversation to keep happening. So Kiki, I know you said you're going to send out, some stuff or some questions that some RAs have, or, some questions that you all had for us. So once you do that, if you want, the 2 of us can touch base on what the next steps, whether it's another Zoom meeting and we figure out when everyone can meet, or we talk through some stuff individually and then we have a meeting. So do you want to plan to touch base with me at some point offline, and then we can kind of figure out next steps?
Yeah, we can do that. That works. Okay. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, like Jana said, thank you everyone for taking the time. We honestly really appreciate it. Great to see all of you. I wish that this was in person, and these little cube Zoom meetings are getting real old, but it was great to see everyone. And like I said, Kiki and I will be in touch, and then we'll be in touch with all of you really soon.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.